Welcome to Panels in Progress. I'm Chris. In today's video, I'm drawing Deathnote. I've got a couple spreads picked out in this volume. The first spread is a one-page spread where Ryuk is talking to Light about the Shinigami eyes. And then the second spread I'm going to be doing is when Ray Pembroke discovers that Light is Kira. It's a double-page spread, so I thought that could be a lot of fun. Now, the whole reason I wanted to study from Deathnote is because Deathnote has a lot of scenes with people just talking and just standing around talking about what's going on, and I thought that it'd be good to see exactly how a professional mangaka handles those type of scenes. So, let's get to it. Okay, so I had a lot of fun inking this study. I loved how Obata uses a lot of dark shadows to frame the faces, almost in silhouette, but he uses hatching lines to emphasize the form. And then of course there was screen tone applied as well, but since I don't have screen tone traditionally, I just tried to make those marks with my pen as best as I could. The only thing that I can really say about this is two things. I really struggled with the face shape of Light. In my version of Light, he looks very dopey. And then there's a detail of the numbers in Rook's eyes where he's looking at Light's lifespan, and there was just no way. I'm pretty sure that was done with like a white pen after the fact, and then they did it kind of backwards too, so I just didn't really worry about that. And then another thing is I had a lot of fun with the shape language and using the shadows, and I think that these pens that I bought, they are Speedball calligraphy pens, and then I have these Tombo's Fudensuke brush pens. They were all brush pens because the Art Skills pens that I got from like Dollar General, those are actually starting to run out of ink. But the Speedball brush pens, I'm actually having a lot of fun and getting a lot of tight detail with the 3 different sizes that those come in. I got those pens from Michael's. But yeah, this study was pretty cool. I really had a lot of fun with it, even though some parts look better than others. I still feel like it was a success. Alright, so I'm going to start on the second study from Deathnote. This is the infamous scene of when Ray Pembroke is dying on the subway station floor and he realizes that Light is Kira. One, I gotta say that the first thing I love about inking or doing master studies from manga is that you only have the line and the screen tones, which makes it so much easier to study from and understand shapes and forms. That being said, there is a lot of detail done with the screen tones, so I'm going to try my best to recreate that with just ink, but my main goal is to have a lot of fun. This is a really great scene. I love how the structure is shown, the slow reveal and the slow realization that Ray realizes Light is Kira. It's just really great storytelling, and I'm very excited to work on this. One other thing that I noticed is that because you're working Japanese manga is read right to left, I'm going to try to mirror that same effect to see if that helps with the lines, because I want to go left to right because that's what I'm used to, but we're gonna try it in reverse and see how that works. Alright, so I did not realize just how much work goes into creating a manga page. I mean, to make it look amazing, a lot of work goes into those pages. But I had a lot of fun, but I also had a lot of struggles. I feel like when I was trying to do the detailing for the subway station, the floor, I think maybe they use like a picture, because some of those lines are just so small, so tiny, and so perfect that it just seems like a picture with the manga texture overlaid kind of just does the job right. And then when I was drawing the faces, just trying to get that little detail in there, that was hard. I feel like maybe I need to understand the line weight of my pen before I start using it, because there's a lot of things that I could have went a lot smaller with using my very small micron, which I had to pull out those microns. These are old pens from back when I was in college, but I had a 005 and a 05, which are super tiny, but for those fine details, it was really helpful to have them. So one half of the spread is done. I'm gonna try to do the other spread, which it's not a lot, so I think I'll be able to do that a lot quicker than the first page of it. Alright, so for the second page of this drawing, I decided to outline the frame first since it's all in black, and then I decided to start from the top and work my way down. I had a couple struggles with Light's hair. Understanding how that hair is put together is baffling to me, but I did the best I could. I had a general line, and then I went in with a smaller tipped pen to add in those hair strands. But I think that the effect worked. I like how I did the effect on the door edges. I guess that's what those are. I think it came out just fine, and I think I got the look down pretty good as well. The middle frame was a challenge because it was on its side. His face was on its side, so I tried to turn my picture and turn my sketchbook as well as turn the book to try and draw as if the face was standing up looking at me. And I was super worried about how this face was going to come out because it looked horrible in pencil form. It just didn't make sense to me. I couldn't get that stare down. But when I got in with the ink pen, it was kind of like redemption, because I was able to fix the things that didn't make sense, and I was really just following those shadow shapes. Where the last panel was Ray on the ground, and I struggled a lot with the pencil format of this as well as the inks. I started with the background because even though the background had a lot of straight lines, it was less intimidating than all the folds of his suit. So I started there, and for whatever reason, I did not want to use a ruler. I just tried to freehand it. And for the most part, I think, yeah, the line gets a little wobbly here and there, but for the most part, I did pretty good. And for those horizontal straight lines, I did go ahead and just grab the ruler and do it. I saved the figure for last. In all of the other panels, I usually do the figures first, and then I do the backgrounds last, but this time I did the background first, figure last, and I tried to focus on the shadow shapes of his business suit and really get those wrinkles in. But I don't know, I feel like it didn't make sense to me. The angle didn't make sense, so I really just did the best that I could with it. Pretty pleased with how it came out. I'm not mad at it. Like, this is what studying is all about, is trying to get into another artist's head to see how they problem solve things, and then trying to recreate it the best way that you know how. So I think with that, I did the best I could, and I'm okay with it. Alright, so I just finished the Deathnote study, and my camera died on me again. if my camera or if the inking process takes longer than an hour, this one took about maybe an hour and 45 minutes, something like that, then my camera really struggles with that, so I switched to my cell phone. But regardless, it's done, it's finished. I really like the result. And what's funny is that even though I found it difficult to get some of the faces and the details in there, it was okay because the ink actually made it better, and with the ink pen I was able to go over the lines or change the lines if I didn't like the way they turned out. So that really worked to my benefit. Really happy with how it turned out. I tried to erase some of the pencils, but some of the marker actually came off with it, so that's an interesting thing to note with those tools that I got from the dollar store, is that apparently, even though it's ink pen, it's erasable ink pen. Who knew, because that wasn't on the packaging. But the biggest things that I learned from doing this study is, one, that I could use a finer tip for all the fine details, that Obata seems to have a general line that he uses, and then for everything else he goes in really tiny with his detailing to give that effect of texture or structure. So that was really cool to mess with. Really had a lot of fun messing with the brush pen. And there was a couple times where I was kind of scratching at the paper, and this paper, it's watercolor paper, so it's very textured, and for whatever reason I didn't want to use a ruler, so I kept on trying to freehand it when I really should have used a ruler, but whatever. Like I said, I'm really happy with how it came out. Biggest takeaways is that draw your picture how you want to draw it, and then do your outline, add in those shadows where they need to be, and then go back in with a small or a detailing pen and add that texture and those extra details that you want to be there. Hopefully you enjoyed what you saw. Let me know if you've ever tried to draw some Deathnote artwork and how it came out. And in the next episode, I will be studying from Adam Ellis's books. So that one, I'll probably break it up into two. I'll do 2 studies from one book, 2 studies from the other book. But please subscribe, stay tuned for the next master study.